Good morning. I'm outside the gym again, just practicing vlogging. Don't really have a particular video in mind. Um, just trying to learn how to do this stuff. So just figured I'd set this up, fired up. This time I'm on my new phone, so I actually have the microphone and stuff like that that I'm supposed to have or would like to use. So we're going to go in. I'm going to do a quick workout. I warm up. I'll do like 10 calories, just 10 calories. It takes like 2 minutes on the elliptical and then another 10 calories on the treadmill. And it's just start moving. It's not really, who cares? And then I'll go do like physical therapy on my shoulders and I'll do something for my legs like lunges or heel taps, anything like that. Also like doing kettlebell halos because they wake up the shoulders really well, which shoulders are one of those things that, going by the memes, everybody has bad shoulders by the time they get past 30. Mine aren't so much bad. It's just I spent so much of my life not doing anything. Anyway, then we're going to do front squats. I want to work up, do I'm not going to do anything amazing. Maybe like 3 sets of 3 at 225, just getting comfortable under the bar with at that weight. And then we'll see how that feels. I don't know what I'll pair it with. I was thinking about doing lat raises and flies to work on building out my shoulders better. That seems reasonable. And then probably mobility work. You should always do mobility. Nobody ever does. You should. It's like eating vegetables. So let's go work out. All right, that was a good session. All I did was front lifts, or God, front lifts, front squats, those things. So I only worked up to 185 across the board. So I was in this big rush to run up all of my lifts, get them really big, because in November we typically do the CrossFit Total. Well, in my rush, I did something stupid and I didn't actually do any damage. It's just on my right knee, which my left knee is the one that's really injured or been diagnosed. But my right knee just didn't feel great. It was just muscles locked up. And it took a couple of weeks for that to get things back to normal. And right now, things are amazing. Everything feels really great. But, reflecting on it, I was like, nobody cares how much I lift. It doesn't matter. My entire point behind CrossFit is what I've called a do not die plan. The whole point of it is that when I'm, 90, 100, whatever, I want, there's so much to do. So I don't have time to die, at least not for stupid reasons. So the point behind CrossFit, though, is to enable that. It's a means to an end. The big numbers of lifts, pure ego lifting. And again, nobody cares except me. My goals. Back squat, I'd like a 405 back squat for reps, not just a 1RM, but be able to go through a 5x5 with 405 pounds on the bar. 4 blue plates on both sides, 8 total. Very cool. Deadlift, I want over 500. The goal would be 12 blue plates on the bar total, so 6 on each side. And a shoulder press of 225. And that's great and totally doable, but not quickly. And I figure it's going to take another year or two to actually achieve those. But the key is not being stupid in the process and rushing things and all like that. So, the front squat. Yeah, I started off saying, oh yeah, I'll do 225. And I probably could have, but I got in there at CrossFit. I worked up to 205 previously and they were okay, but I got in here. It's cold. I hate the cold. Okay. You will not hear me complain in the summer. I enjoy the heat. Uh, Cold just doesn't work for me. And it took me a long time to warm up and just on and on and on. So I hit the 185. It felt good. They don't feel good, but it felt as good as a front squat's ever going to feel. So we did them. I was watching. Yeah, I don't get super deep in squats. I get below parallel. Um, I'd like to get deeper, but it's not the big priority. It's hit the movement standard, which is hip crease below the top of the knee. So, and I do that. So I'm just move on and over time. And that's part of the kind of strategy I'm thinking of is like with the front squat, get to 225 and don't go up in weight for a few sessions. Work on just getting comfortable, be able to pause them at the bottom and work on getting more depth. And then we'll see where we go. And same thing with my back squats. I'm going to build back up to 315. And at 315, I'm going to pause for a while and just get really, really comfortable. And I like to say, like with back squats, I'm disrespectful of 225. That's just a warm-up weight. And it's cool. I love being in that position. I want to get that way with 315. And, again, be able to pause 315 at the bottom and rep out a 5x5 that way and being comfortable. Then start working up. I mean, it's 85 pounds? Yeah. From there. And, should be doable in a year. So I should be back to 315 probably in December. So it's Halloween today. So anyway, that was the workout. And like I said, it was good. I warmed up, did some kettlebell halos. They to start with felt like trash. God. And like I say, it's just, like I said, let me whine about being cold some more. I'm sure that's why everybody clicks on these videos. Nobody clicks on these videos. Anyway, let us move on. Of course, all the dogs come in here as soon as I hit record, right? Anyway, so here, let me show you. So this is Trap. The one growling. Hey, Bingo. This is Bingo. And then this little one is Carly, also known as Gremlin. All of my dogs are rescues. I've been fostering and foster failing for over 10 years, I think. So it's why I've got a small pack of house wolves in here who are so helpful here. I finally got it laying down. So, plyo box, other direction. So, there you go. Hey, Bingo. Yeah. All right. Oh, and this is Sergeant. Hey, buddy. All right. Anyway. Yes, guys. Of course, this is what happens. Give them a little attention, and now we're distracted and not working on what I was going to work on, but that's okay. All right. So here let's start over one more time. So 3, 2, 1. What a pain. So I've got Bones open in Visual Studio Code, and we're going to start over with a new context. But first, let's just kind of walk through why I'm kind of starting over here. First thing I don't like is the way it goes about setting up its configuration. So it looks for an environment variable, then it gets the executing assembly location and uses that to figure out where to find app settings. And it's all roll your own type stuff rather than just using Microsoft extensions, configuration, and the JSON file thing. I'm unclear on why it chose to do it this way, except I didn't prompt it, so it just made it up. It does work, but it's just kind of a mess, in my opinion. And so then I do like the create host builder that it did. So it goes through and configures all of the services that it created. And I actually like the fact that it created those services. That was good. They're somewhat reusable, and it also provides a usage thing. But for instance, you have this situation. Now, when I put this together, is very simple. There's just three parameters, but the main two were work and personal. And then there's a parameter for spec kit that it can add. But it didn't use, I forget the NuGet package, it's like command line parser that would have done all of this and made it easier for me to add new capabilities as things evolved. The next piece is so the project service that it put together, it's okay, but I think we could have refactored this a bit better and set it up so that it could go download the files, and made this a little cleaner, because one of the things it did, and again, it's my responsibility, it put the file list in the configuration thing. And what, the challenge is because the way it did this, changing it is more difficult than it should be. So instead, I should be able to come here to Copilot, to my repo, Copilot resources. And what I want to do is, so I have this file, promptlist.json, which is essentially the same object, but it lets me put in my repo the file lists so I can update them here rather than having to go to the program. And this is a public repo. I intend to share these things. So if somebody else happens to be using this, they'd be able to take advantage of that index as well. And the same thing is, I want a file list JSON that has these guys all put into it, so that what I would prefer to have is in this project service, have it go grab those two files out of Copilot resources. We'll promise that those two will always be there. And then it just iterates over those lists. And then it also looks to see is spec kit needed. And if it is, it goes ahead and pulls the spec kit related files in as well. And we don't need this, this nonsense. I don't know what I was thinking when I put this together. Well, I know what I was thinking at the time. It sounded really cool, but then having done it, I'm now going, yeah, that wasn't so smart. It would have been better just be able to type bones, hit enter, and it takes care of, so I make the project directory, go into it, and then run bones. And it sets everything up at that point. I think that would work much better than what I initially did. Part of the idea that I have is that, like, bones does this part, just the very beginning of a project. These are just very early on pieces that I think I'll use all the time. Then I'll write other programs that, like if I'm doing an Azure function that's going to access a SQL Server database, things like that, I'll write individual tools for those things, and I'll figure out how I'll put that stuff, reusable resources into my Copilot resources repo or other places. So the next step I'm going to do is, and I'm not going to voice over through this, I'm going to rewrite this requirements document. And then I'll show you, we'll walk through my workflow, the rest of it. But we've got this thing what I'm going to do is actually, I'm going to delete everything. Gone. Now that I've seen it, and I have it saved in another branch. Bones is also a public repo. You're welcome to grab it. But we're going to start from scratch. And I will come back and I'll show you how I develop this requirements document after I've started everything over. So. Okay, so I have my requirements document put together, and you can grab this out of the repo if you want to take a look. But basically, it's a little different than the initial one. Having had the experience and further thought about how to write the prompt, because that's what requirements MD really is. It's just a prompt. Goes through, I broke it apart. So I have just like a high level description, and some of this stuff I repeat. So I go through, and now before, like the example, I show, you know what, let's take that space out. One optional prior, yeah, so we do want SK. So I'm using -SK. So we go through here, and I just give a general description. Then I have my non-functional requirements. I spell out how I want error handling done, how I want the configuration to be done. In this case, I went ahead because, you know, when it first generated it, went off and did all this weird stuff. I wanted to use Microsoft Extensions configuration and use the JSON library. So I spell out how I think it should do it. And I spell out that there's just one setting, the resource repo that we want. And I tell it that, you know, I want dependency injection to be set up. Then we go through the functional requirements, and there's just the two. One copying the files, and the other one copying the prompts. Yeah, those things. All right, so I'm going to clear Copilot's memory. We're going to put it in agent mode, although I don't think I really need agent mode. One of the things I do want to look at is we have review prompt. Clear. Yeah, we're good. Yeah, I don't need to change this yet. I was thinking about, do I need to make a reference to my Copilot instructions in this? But for this phase, I don't. So we can just do /review space requirements.md. And we want the whole document. So we'll just send it on its way. And so now it's going through, looking at it. And we'll see how what it comes up. Uh-oh. So, yeah, it found two. Oh, interesting. I contradicted myself. That's a good point. Execution. Oh, wow. Okay, for file download. So let's get to the top. The file URL construction. Okay. So this is a new trick I've started using, CP. Let's see, where is it? Boom. So I'm saying GitHub name tree, boom, come down. I appreciate it calling that out. The way I came up with the URL was I just clicked on them in GitHub and just used that URL. So GitHub, Jake Watkins, blob main. It is saying, so just do this. Raw.
do this instead. So this is kind of cool. So I'm just going to tell it to do that one change for me. It's kind of cool the fact that, I don't have to tell it requirements. Yeah, so we'll keep that. And we'll keep that. Okay. Now let's go back up here. 2, requirement contradiction. For the bonds will ignore. Well, yeah. Where do I say Copilot resources? Okay, for spec kit issue. Okay. file override base. It gets so picky. To show complete. Okay, for downloads to requirement section. So we do this again. / review, hit enter. Let's go. I didn't save it. Wow. So it's happy with this. So that's the workflow. This time I got it quick because what you're not seeing here is the original version. I went back and forth several times. So we're kind of benefiting from that. And I've been using this workflow for a while. And Copilot has absolutely kicked my butt over making me get better about being very explicit about what I mean. I mean, some of the stuff that it's asking, if I gave you the requirement document the first time around, it absolutely caught me red-handed with what the URL is to pull the files out of GitHub. Oops, got that wrong. But the details like showing the dots, you would have just prompts and files done dots without me having to get down to that level. And kind of the thing for you is, just being cognizant of that as you write stuff. So at this point, I'm ready to implement this thing. I want to write a reusable prompt for implementation as well. But I'm not going to do that here today. I'm still thinking about it. But what I do think is, like I always call it CP, Copilot, right? But, I've just in my own mind gotten into this mode when I'm working with Copilot, treating it like, well, it might be you or, a friend who's working with me, helping me get this stuff done. Eventually, when I fire this thing off, it'll work for probably 5-10 minutes. I'm listening to, oh dang it, I forget his name right now, but some of these people are talking about sending off Claude and some of these other systems, and they're working for hours to do stuff. And I mean, to me, the detail in your prompt in order to do that, that's a huge prompt in my opinion. I mean, they talk about it, but they never show you the prompt that they use. And to me, I'm very suspicious when I hear stuff like that because it sounds amazing. But depending upon, if you did write all those directions in, doing like what I'm doing with the requirements document, using SpecKit, you could build a fairly elaborate set of instructions. And the one time I played with SpecKit, it worked for a very long time to not manage to get my code written correctly. There's like, I've yet to have had time to go back and work on it, but there's like 80 errors when it builds. And it's happy with that. It's like, God. So where I was going though is it's happy with my requirements document. So we're going to say, please implement So what I'm doing is, I'm also having it follow my Copilot instructions. So we'll see how this is kind of the reusable prompt that I'm working towards. It'll be similar to the review prompt, but the idea is, so I'm going through putting stuff into my Copilot instructions to kind of guide how I want it to code. I'm still learning, so this is going to change a lot. And as I'm doing stuff like this, I'm learning, to get even more detailed about what I'm asking it to do. So let's go ahead, hit enter. Let's see what happens. And the cool thing is, depending upon what you're doing and how good you get with this, you could have 4 or 5 of these things all running at the same time, which would be kind of interesting. So let's see what it's got. App settings, resource repo. Interesting. So I'm probably just shut up at this point and let Copilot do its thing. So I'll be back. All right. This out of the way. And 3, 2, 1. Okay, so I have my requirements document put together. And you can go grab this out of the Interesting. Oops. Let me do so I can go do this. Let's see. Where is this? So Copilot resources, we need editor.config. Up. Oh. I just need and then dot get ignore. Sweet. There we go. Nicely done. So let's go look at some of this code. So first off, I got busted. I forgot. I'd started making file list.json, forgot to finish and get that pushed to the repo. So then it kind of interesting. It was interesting watching how it adapted to the fact that, it's trying to do the thing and it goes, oops, I can't do this. So it went back and said, hey, we'll update the code to handle the situation where that file is missing, which I thought was pretty cool. Interesting here. This time, so in the previous version, it went off and was doing all these wacky things to set up app settings. I gave it specific instructions on how I wanted configuration set up. So we have this now, which I like that much better, and it goes off. And it does check to make sure that it exists. It's interesting, though, the order in which it does it. So it goes here and builds the configuration, and then it validates. And it's like, this is interesting. It's backwards. But that's okay. I'll fix that later. That's not a big deal. Sets up my the host and then goes off and runs it. So configure app services, run async. So it sets itself up. Here's the run async. Goes off, gets the file list. Now, it's interesting when it's running, you see how it's, wait, not that. Well, it's gone now. Or is it here? No, it's gone. Somebody somewhere is printing stuff in the console as they're downloading things, so you don't just get a bunch of dots. I need to find this AI thing. So let's go take a look. Go here, go trash code, dir, we'll go test app. And in requirements, where's requirements? I told it, I said it should be able to do this. All right. sh space test app. Hit enter. Okay, so specify minus help. Let's see what we got. Oh, I'm a dummy. It should say specify init. And then all that stuff. So that's where I goofed up. So let's go find, where's that spec kit? Service, specify, arguments. Init. Oops. Control S. Rebuild. Whatever. I'm going to be lazy. We'll see what happens. So we're good. Do a .NET run. Booyah! Okay. So that looks good. So I'm asking Copilot to go ahead and publish this to my bin directory so I can use it. Last time I did this, it just went nuts. Okay, well, let's see. Self-contained. See what happens. Fuck yeah. Well, we already got that, man. It's already in my path. Hoorah. All right. So this is what I wanted. So we're just going to go / push it. And what this does is just, it takes care of all my Git stuff. So it does the add, and it actually sets up my, oh, it's going to turn on the Git Kraken thing. So, but it'll give it a nice Git comment, and then we're going to PR this sucker back to my main so that everybody can enjoy the glory that is this awesome tool we've built. So if we go here, where? So oops. Losing directories. I mean, I realize I could have just clicked it in GitHub and been done with it. But it's interesting seeing how far you can go. So you notice the branch name is here too. There's here, which is the unfortunate first attempt at making Bones work the way I should have done it the first time. But it's one of those things, yeah, I'm okay with this. We learned, and truth is, because of this, I'm getting better about writing these prompts. Okay. interesting. So if I go here, oops, wrong. Where's my PRs? There they are. So we're going to go ahead and merge it. And we'll go ahead and do this. And okay. So I'm not going to delete the branch, but this now, everything's now up to date. Cool. So let's see, 28 bone solution, that's fine. 28 readme, license, that remains the same. Git ignore remains the same. Yeah. All right. So that's it. That's my GitHub, geez, Copilot. Well, it is GitHub Copilot. So GitHub Copilot workflow, how I do stuff so far. And like I said, I'm not the authority on it, but yeah, like I say, I'm really skeptical of these people making these grandiose claims, and they don't show you their prompt. They don't really show their work. You're just supposed to believe them. I don't like that. So anyway, I'm going to wish you a good evening and wrap this day up. God, I started at the gym, and here we are. So you have a good one.